This video contains spoilers for Velocicoaster at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. If you have not ridden the ride and would like everything to be a surprise, then I highly suggest that you don't watch this video. Okay, now let's get into it. Velocicoaster has been a long-anticipated project at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. The Jurassic Park section opened with Islands of Adventure in 1999, and while a dinosaur-themed roller coaster has always been rumored, it was not until 2018 that we got concrete evidence of a ride being built in that area. In 2020, track work began, and we now have what is arguably one of the most stunning and impressive thrill rides built in recent memory. The ride also carries a lot of implications for thrill rides and theme parks around the world. Velocicoaster would be a great ride even without the elaborate theming, night lights, and convenient loading and queue system, but because it has those things, it really does feel like a new era of roller coaster. With Universal Studios redoing the Hulk, building Hagrid's roller coaster, as well as Disney with two major e-ticket roller coasters in their Orlando parks and abroad, I really think that Velocicoaster will set a precedent for a lot of rides to come, and that's very exciting considering how good it is. I noticed that when I went to the park, many people were comparing Velocicoaster to Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, saying that it was the bigger step up and a more intense version of that ride. And while I can definitely see the resemblance, I really think that Velocicoaster is the most similar to Hulk. It's a launch coaster over the water, and it really sets that gap of theming and thrill ride that I don't think a lot of parks accomplish. Even Disney has struggled to find that perfect balance of a thrill and theming, with often building rides that are too intense for guests or are meant to be intense but end up falling short. Velocicoaster gets that just right, just like Hulk did when it opened with the park in 1999. So because of that, Velocicoaster really does feel like an updated version of Hulk. Velocicoaster is very imposing. You can see it from pretty much anywhere in the park, including the front entrance, and it has been designed so that it looks like it's guarding the main Jurassic Park building. I think it's a little bit strange that Velocicoaster is a Jurassic World theme ride being put into a Jurassic Park section, but Universal just seems to be rolling with it, and that entire part of the park has just become a big mishmash of dinosaur stuff. You go under the ride's zero-G stall, which is basically just a long time period that's going upside down, to go through the entrance, which initially is just a big, cool-looking warehouse. They have some detailed statues of some dinosaurs, some screens telling you why you're in line, but then you go through some real theming. One cool detail that they did was run a projector next to the launch track so that it looks like raptors are chasing the train as it gets launched. It's a pretty cool detail. Next, you'll see some references to the movies and two fantastic Raptor Animatronics. These are hands down some of the best animatronics I've seen. Next, you'll go through metal detection after placing your stuff in a locker, and I have to say, even though I'm usually against metal detection on roller coasters, it allows the track to get really close to guests, which is really awesome. They are also running the European double-sided locker, so it's very easy to get your stuff after you're done riding. After being introduced to the two main characters of Jurassic World, you enter the station. Even though I don't have any footage of the station because of the metal detection, it's really great. The train lights up when it enters the station, and when you're loading, you get a great view of the ride through a giant window that oversees the Raptor paddock. You'll enter your train, and just to note now, I was able to ride front row twice, and I highly recommend it. Most days, it seems that they will let you choose to ride the front row, but you can't choose to sit elsewhere. It's annoying, but it does speed up operations quite a bit. The restraints on this ride are amazing. There's no seatbelt, it's just a pull-down lap bar. The first half of the ride is theming based. It opens with this pretty well themed launch into a pretzel element, which is comprised of an Immelman into a dive loop. On both elements, you get some awesome airtime and hang time. The rest of the first half is comprised of near-miss elements, theming with the raptors in the paddocks, and more airtime hills. It's really surprising how much airtime this ride has. It almost feels like an RMC. After a hard right turn, the train hits my favorite part of the ride, which is this really crazy launch into the top hat. The launch is super forceful, feels like your face is melting, but the top hat is even crazier. It's 155 feet tall, and it slows down at the top, making the drop feel like an actual drop. A lot of times when a roller coaster launches over the top hat, it clears the entire element really quickly, but going slowly over the top really provides for an awesome element. Next, it hits this zero-G stall, which I liked, but it was not the highlight of the ride for me, followed by a couple of huge turns that take place over the water. You get some pretty cool sideways airtime and some great views of the park if you have time to pay attention. The train hits this super forceful airtime hill before throwing you into what is most likely my favorite inversion ever, this roll over the water. They're calling it the Mosasaurus roll, which is kind of a strange name, but it really is just a roll. Every time I rode, I put my hands up for this moment, and it really feels like you could touch the water. It's really crazy. After one more twisted airtime hill, the ride's over. They do play a little bit of sound on the brake run. I'm pretty sure it's just Chris Pratt's character telling riders that they succeeded in surviving, but I swear, they must be using the most compressed speakers ever because it was really hard to hear. I wasn't really able to make it out. At night, the ride is even crazier. While most roller coasters feature light on the track, this one features light up trains, which is really unique. I can't actually think of any United States roller coasters that have this. The theming in the queue also subtly changes at night, but I won't spoil what exactly that is. I had the chance to ride this in the dark one time, and it was quite the experience. The rock facade in the first half of the ride lights up a bit, and it's really awesome. Overall, Universal Studios knocked it out of the park with this ride, and it has easily become my favorite attraction in Florida. With that being said, I have not ridden Rise of the Resistance over in Disney, but this gives every themed ride I've ever been on a significant run for their money. I'm not really one to rank roller coasters or even themed rides, but if I had to, Velocicoaster would rank extremely high, and it receives a perfect score from me. If you couldn't tell, I really love this thing. I think most people do. It's just a really fun but also intense ride, and it's just what the park needed. I really hope and I really think that this will set some major precedent for future rides. That's the end of this video, but I want to hear from you. Have you ridden Velocicoaster? Do you want to? Or just what are your thoughts in general? Be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll catch you all next time.